Okay, here we go. Just a little video on kind of explaining the carts. And this one in this section of the video is more about how to put it together. Like when you're going to get it, you're probably going to you'll have the frame, you'll have the fork, this piece right here, and it probably won't have a rim on it. And then you'll have the wheels or the rim. You got the stops right here. You can notice that there's like a teeth and then recessed that fit the teeth. This allows you to adjust it. I'm going to go over in another part of the video, which may be before or after this one. Shows you how you would want to adjust it, like up or down. I can't get this apart all the way as far as I wanted because I don't have the right tool with me right now. Because there's a lock nut on this one, where on the ones I sent out it's a regular nut, so it's much easier. But we'll go over that real quick. Let's see. You can kind of see in there's just a Phillips screw. It feeds into the stop arm. Then the stop arm will go into the fork, and with a screw coming out the other end, and there'll be a nut. And that's going to fit into the fork, and you just tighten that down. You want to get that nice and tight. Like you'll notice, this doesn't move. Like that is tightened down all the way. It holds this all together really tightly because that's what the wheel is going to pivot on. So you don't want that wobbling around. So I use this, which can be difficult at times because I can't even get it loose right now. Because I think when I actually had a wrench on this. But if you just get a short stubby screwdriver, you'll be much better off. It's actually quite easy. I've just not ever remembered to buy one because if you try using a full-size screwdriver, it just won't fit. And when you're threading the screw in, this is thermoplastic, so when it heats up, it becomes soft, and you can actually kind of distort it. So when you're threading the screw in, especially for like the first time, it can be a little tight, and that friction is going to create heat. So you want to make sure you're not putting any pressure to push it off center, and then you'll end up having like an off center axle, I guess. So that's pretty much how that would go together. I do suggest at first, especially on a new fork or a new arm, once they get worn in a little bit, it's not that big a deal, but I do suggest you take the arm and actually place it into the fork and line the teeth up. And then you're going to want to bring it over to a surface where you're able to lay it flat and firmly press down. And it should be straight. If it looks like it's crooked, or you could even look down the hole without the screw in it, and if the hole doesn't line up exactly, it looks like it may be a little off center, put it back on your overhanging counter or truck tailgate if you got one, and press on it again. Try to wiggle it a little bit until you can kind of feel it pop in, because it fits pretty snugly, so it will support the dog and doesn't move around. You just want to make sure it gets set in there flush and all the way, because if you put the screw in there and you start tightening it down and there's still like a gap and it's off center, you can actually separate the layers on the inside of this arm, and then it could possibly just fall off, and that the cart itself would still be usable, but you're going to lose that little safety feature that keeps the dog from tipping forward. So just a little tip you might want to try. I set all of them in there, but you might have to make adjustments or change forks altogether. About changing forks, you'll see there's a number. That number is the angle of this top plate. You see, it's not completely level with the fork, so that actually kicks the wheels out in front of the dog. If the dog is tipping forward, you're going to that SD card ran out of memory. So I think I was talking about the fork number. Pretty much adjust where the wheels are going to sit, like more forward or more back. More forward, it's going to put more weight on the back of the dog. So if they're having problems tipping forward, you want to move it to a higher number, which puts it more forward. If it seems like there's too much weight on the back, they don't have a problem tipping forward, but it seems like their back end is bowing down, or their back, there's like a bow in it. You want to go to a lower number. That's going to move the wheels in, take weight off the back of the dog. Alright, putting the wheel on, it's pretty simple. Slides over that, and then you take your locking nut, slide it, put it on there, and you're going to want to tighten it down. Oops. I'm not sure what size it is offhand, but I know with these multi screwdrivers, one of them fits it perfectly. And you just want to tighten it down, kind of spinning it, and you'll tighten it down, and the wheel will just kind of stop. And you notice when I spin it, it doesn't spin very well. There's not any play in the wheel. It's like really firm, but it's not spinning. So what you want to slowly do is just back it off like a tiny bit of, just a tiny turn. Spin the wheel again. Still doesn't spin very well. Back it off a tiny bit more. Getting a little bit more spin, but we can go a little bit farther. You want to kind of get, you want to get it between the point where the wheel will wobble. Like right now, it's still not has any wobble to it, and it's still dragging a little bit as far as spinning. So you just back it up a little bit more, spin it again, and now it's spinning better. But just from experience, it's still not wobbling. I could probably get a little bit more. So you don't want your dog to have to fight the wheel. That's pretty good. And now you can almost feel it just a tiny bit when you move the wheel back and forth. You could feel like a little rock to it. Because these wheels aren't perfect, so there's a little bit. You need to have a little bit of room for them to wobble, so that way the bearings don't bind up. But that's pretty good. Compare it to the other one. Yeah, pretty close. And that's how you would set the wheel. And now you're to the point of putting the frame on the forks. Just 2 bolts that go in the 2 holes. Make sure the number is facing forward, and you're going to, hers is a little tight. You want to press it down and install your 2 nuts on the 2 bolts. And I'm not sure if you can see, there's a recess where the nuts will actually line up in. And then you're just going to make sure you keep that lined up. Come over here and start tightening the Phillips screws down. Just tighten them down until there's no gap. You can get this one pretty tight, just to where that's nice and even. There shouldn't be any gap. It shouldn't wobble around. It should be firm, because if it wobbles around, your dog is going to go all crooked. I think I rotated my phone, so this video might be upside down. But I hope you get the gist of it. As always, if you have any questions, get with me, and I'll do my best to answer them and help your pup get on the road. Okay, let's see. Probably a lot of editing before I get done with this. But I know I just sent out some more carts, and I just want to do an update video of some of the changes I've made since I know I have a couple of videos out there, but just it's changed a little bit since then, so I want to make sure that everyone knows how to properly use all the aspects of the cart. Let's see, there's one big change is you see these front little nubs off the front. I think you've seen them in videos, you probably heard me talk about them, but these are the first carts coming out that I've sent to other people that have them. When I put them on there, I might not necessarily put them in the correct position. How you want to do is, once you get your dog in there, you want to have them level. Like the idea of these stops is if your dog starts to tip forward, they're going to hit the ground before your dog does a complete flip forward. So it's going to hit, and you want to adjust it to the point where your dog's going to tip forward. It's going to stop that momentum, but there's still enough weight behind on the backside of the dog that the dog is now going to fall back to its feet. Bubbles used to flip forward, and she would balance on her nose until I was able to get her, or she was able to pop herself back forward. And these little stops catch her before she goes to that point, so she didn't balance on her nose. She just kind of tips forward real quick as she hits a rock, but then she'll fall back down onto her feet, and everything will go on as it should. And let's see, not all carts have this back here. It's the 3rd strap. I'm about to put Bubbles in it, so show you exactly how it should fit or whatever. I know I mentioned that before in another video. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much let me grab Bubbles real quick, and I'll throw her in here and show you guys how it should work. All right, let's see real quick. Hopefully she'll stay still. First step that I find it easier, especially if you have, well, I guess if you don't have the third strap, you can't do it this way. But I find with the third strap, I could set Bubbles in the cart and just loosely strap the third strap in, and it will just kind of hold it there because it's much easier to like put together. And then I could go and run the other straps through. And at first, I just kind of, you want to make sure her skin's not bunched up, and I don't put it on completely tight yet. It really does take two hands. And once you get everything set, make sure you get the straps like kind of in place, and then you can go back through and make sure she's set in the correct position. But you want to, it's going to kind of depend on your dog, but you want to make sure that her chest is up against the front. Like it's not too far forward. She's not like sitting on top of it, but she's not like a big gap. You'll kind of, once your dog starts getting used to it, you'll figure out where they like to be and where they tend to be. Sometimes, like I put her in it and she'll move around a little bit, so it's better just to put her in that spot where she tends to end up. Let me tighten this up a little bit and be back. Okay, here you go. Now she's tightened in it. You got the third strap. It doesn't have to go really far back. And it doesn't have to be extremely tight. It looks a little tight right now, but really what it's doing is it's helping hold some of her body weight. It's taking it farther on her back instead of being all the way up here, and then her back end will just bow down. Like I can actually undo it, and it moving around it will really start. Nope, don't move. It really starts letting the cart hang down, and that's really bad for her back and even other dogs that with shorter bodies than hers. So, okay, there's third strap back in, but come on, Bubbles, behave. But you want her to be sitting like you see her back is nice and straight. She's not curled up like this. She's not bowing down, like really sagging in the back area. That's really what you want. I'll go over it in another part of this video. Each fork has a number on it. That is how many degrees the wheels sit forward. It's not perfectly straight down. The higher the number, the farther it sits forward. So if your dog's tipping forward, go to higher number. If your dog's bowing in the back, you're going to want a lower number. It just helps move the weight one way or another. And you really just have to try to get that sweet spot for your dog. And once you get it set, like Bubbles, hopefully they'll be as quick as her. Then moving around again, you should see the back shouldn't be bowing a whole lot, shouldn't be sagging up or down. And you really just have to work with me, and we'll try to adjust it the best as possible. Oh, and almost forgot, when you do first get your cart, it helps for me to get videos, like side videos or pictures of her from the side when she's normally sitting or standing. That's going to allow me to know if adjustments need to be made.